I know that people expect us to go home. They expect us to stop talking about this and to sort of run out of steam, but we won't. We came to ensure that there is enough people putting pressure on the entire system to do what is necessary to get justice for this young woman.
Quilla, can you at least fight back?
No. Why she not
At least something. At least fight back, something.
Get up, bro! Get up!
In true crime news, it's been a year since the death of Shanquella Robinson at a resort in Mexico with her friends, and still no arrests have been made. 25-year-old Shanquella was found unconscious in the living room of the villa she had rented with 6 college friends in San Jose del Cabo in October 2022. She died that afternoon, and a video came out later that showed her being absolutely bombarded with punches and kicks from one of her so-called friends, while other friends stood around telling her to fight back. They said she was sick from alcohol poisoning, but the autopsy showed she died of a severe spinal cord and neck vertebrae injury. The local police and FBI were called in but made no arrests. So now, a year later, and with still no movement in the case, Shanquella's family is filing a civil lawsuit against her travel companions. The family is quote-unquote tired, weary, heartbroken, and missing Shanquella, but motivated by her legacy to keep moving forward on the path to her justice. I don't blame them, and I hope they get some answers. Subscribe to Katie Does Crime on YouTube for more true crime stories.
Her parents were told she drank too much, that she'd had a wild night in Mexico, that her body just gave out, that sometimes vacations go wrong. They believed it for about 72 hours. Then a video hit the internet, and the entire story fell apart. A 25-year-old woman, 6 people she called friends, a luxury villa in Cabo San Lucas, and a broken neck that nobody wanted to explain. But here is the question nobody is asking loudly enough. Mexico saw the video. Mexico issued an arrest warrant. Mexico called it exactly what it was, femicide. So why is the woman named in that warrant still free? In America? Welcome to Hidden Motive Crime. If you're new here, subscribe and hit that notification bell. We bring you the facts others leave behind, and the truths that deserve to be heard. For those of you who've been here, you know what we do. Let's get into it. Here is what you need to know before we go any further. 1. Shanquella Robinson died with a broken neck and a damaged spinal cord. Mexico's official death certificate lists her cause of death as severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation. That is not what alcohol does to a body. 2. A video exists showing exactly what happened inside that villa. It went viral. The entire world watched it. A man off camera can be heard saying, "Quella, can you at least fight back?" She couldn't. 3. Mexico's state attorney general issued a formal arrest warrant, charging one of Shanquella's travel companions with femicide. That warrant still stands today. 4. The United States Department of Justice reviewed the case and announced in April 2023 that the available evidence did not support a federal prosecution. In America, no one has ever been arrested, not a single person. 5. The woman named in Mexico's arrest warrant, Diane Jackson, legally changed her name to Amani Green in 2023 and is living freely in the United States. As of this year, a judge denied her motion to dismiss the civil lawsuit against her. Hold those 5 facts in your mind for the next 20 minutes and tell me in the comments, at what point does this stop being a failure of the system and start looking like a choice? Charlotte, North Carolina, a city of ambition. A city where people build things from scratch. Shanquella Robinson grew up here. Born January 9, 1997, to Bernard and Salamandra Robinson. She was the kind of person people describe in the same breath as the word light. Her smile was genuine. It lit up a room. She was not a confrontational person. She was loving. She was kind. She worked until past midnight to finish a client's hair and was back at it early the next morning. That was Shanquella, not someone coasting, someone building. She founded 2 businesses, Exquisite Boutique, a women's clothing line, and Exquisite Kids, a hair braiding service for young girls, both hers, both built from nothing, at 25 years old. She graduated from Winston-Salem State University, a historically Black institution. She stayed connected to her community, to her family, to the little girls who sat in her chair while she worked on their hair. Her father, Bernard, called her his heart. Her mother, Salamandra, said she was her best friend. She traveled, she posted, she lived loudly, the way young people are supposed to, fully and without apology. In late October 2022, a trip came together, a long weekend in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, a luxury villa, a birthday celebration for one of the women in the group, Daijanae Jackson. Shanquella said yes. She had no reason not to. These were her people, or so she believed. I want you to think about something. Is there anyone in your life you'd board a plane with? No questions asked. Because you trusted them completely? Drop that in the comments. Because that is exactly where Shanquella was on October 28, 2022. 6 people traveled with Shanquella to Mexico. They have been publicly identified as Khalil Cook, Wenter Donovan, Elise Hyatt, Daijanae Jackson, Malik Dyer, and Nazir Wiggins. Together, they became known as the Cabo Six. Shanquella knew one of them well, Khalil Cook, her best friend of nearly 5 years, someone her mother described as practically family, someone who went on family vacations with them. The others were connections from university, loose acquaintances, not the inner circle. That distinction matters. Keep it in the back of your mind. The group checked into Villa Linda 32, a 5-bedroom luxury property in the Puerto Los Cabos resort area. Flights coordinated. Reservations made. From the outside, it looked like exactly what it was supposed to be, a celebration. That Friday evening, Shanquella called her mother. She had arrived safely. She was excited. She said she would call again the next day, before the group sat down for dinner cooked by a private chef. That was the last normal conversation Salamandra Robinson would ever have with her daughter. Because the next day, new FBI documents would later reveal that someone in that villa told investigators Robinson's friends said she hit her head on a toilet while intoxicated, and that the same person reported seeing pictures of Robinson's body that looked as though she had been stomped on. The story the Cabo Six would tell Shanquella's family was already being constructed. Before the ambulance arrived, before the death certificate was signed. The lie was built before Salamandra Robinson even knew her daughter was gone. October 29, 2022, day 2 of the trip. The night before, Shanquella had called her mother from the villa. She sounded happy. The group had dinner prepared by a private chef. Everything looked exactly like what it was supposed to be. Then morning came. Sometime between 7 o'clock and 7:30 that morning, a physical altercation broke out inside Villa Linda 32. What triggered it? The exact words, the exact moment, has never been fully established in a court of law. But what happened next was captured on camera. In the video, Daijanae Jackson is seen punching Shanquella repeatedly, grabbing her by the neck and slamming her to the ground. Shanquella barely moves. She does not raise her hands. She does not run. A male voice in the background says, and I am quoting this directly because it matters, "Quella, can you at least fight back?" She couldn't. Others in that room recorded the assault. Not one person stepped in to stop it.
Quilla, can you at least fight back?
No. Why she not fighting?
At least something. At least fight back, something.
Get up, bro. Get up. I'm tired of shit. Okay.
Now here's a question I want you to sit with. If you were in that room, not the aggressor, just a bystander, what do you do? Because what those bystanders chose to do, or not do, is a central reason this case has never reached a courtroom. Drop your answer in the comments. According to new testimony that surfaced on the Crime Junkie podcast in early 2026, an outside witness, identified only as Mike, claimed that hours before the assault, Daijanae Jackson called him around 3 a.m., crying, saying she wanted Shanquella removed from the trip after a dispute. That call has never been verified by law enforcement, but it establishes something important. There was tension in that villa long before the video began. When Mike arrived at the villa that morning, he said Shanquella appeared disoriented and was vomiting. Others told him it was alcohol poisoning. He believed them. At the time, at 2:13 p.m., a doctor was finally called. Dr. Carolina Ornelas Gutierrez, from the American Medical Center, arrived to find Shanquella dehydrated, disoriented, and verbally unresponsive. The group told her Shanquella had been drinking excessively. The doctor recommended immediate hospitalization. The group refused. Around 4 p.m., Shanquella went into convulsions. An ambulance was finally called. Paramedics worked on her for nearly an hour. CPR, adrenaline, a defibrillator, none of it worked. Shanquella Robinson was pronounced dead at 5:57 p.m. She had arrived in Mexico less than 36 hours earlier. The call to Salamandra Robinson said alcohol poisoning. Her daughter's body was prepared and flown home, Her parents absorbed that explanation while still in shock, still trying to understand how a birthday trip ended with their child in a casket. Mexico's autopsy told a completely different story. The official cause of death: severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, a dislocation at the base of the skull and the first vertebra of the spine. The manner of death: violent. Time between injury and death: 15 minutes. Then came the second autopsy. The Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office conducted its examination on November 17, 2022, nearly 3 weeks after Shanquella died, and after her body had already been embalmed. That autopsy found neck bruising and soft tissue hemorrhage, but no spinal cord injury and no atlas luxation, no alcohol, no drugs. Cause of death undetermined. A criminologist later noted that the gap in findings could be directly linked to the time elapsed between the two examinations and the fact that the body had been embalmed before the second autopsy was performed. 2 autopsies, 2 countries, 2 completely different conclusions. That contradiction became the wall that federal prosecutors stood behind when they walked away from this case. But then, the video surfaced. It began circulating online in mid-November 2022. By then, the Cabo Six had already left Mexico. By then, investigators were only beginning to identify suspects. By then, the window to hold anyone at the scene had already closed. The alcohol poisoning story was finished, but the people who told it were already home. But before we get to the system, I need to go back inside that villa for one moment. Because there is a detail in the lawsuit filed by Salamandra Robinson that most people glossed over. A detail that reframes everything you just heard. According to the family's attorneys, while Daejhanae Jackson was beating Shanquella, Wenter Donovan placed a FaceTime call to Jackson's boyfriend so he could watch the attack in real time. And according to the lawsuit, he cheered her on. This was not a moment that spiraled out of control. This was a performance. And Shanquella Robinson was the one paying for the ticket. The lawsuit also alleges that no one in that room called for help. Instead, the group recorded the attack. Hold that. Now, the video surfaces publicly, mid-November 2022. Within hours, it is everywhere. The reaction is immediate and global. Politicians, celebrities, civil rights attorneys. The hashtag Justice for Shanquella Robinson trends across every major platform. Petitions are signed. Letters go to the White House. The Baja California Sur Attorney General's office opens a formal investigation and classifies the case as femicide, the Mexican legal term for the murder of a woman because of her gender. They named Daejhanae Jackson as the direct aggressor. In November 2022, Mexico issues a formal arrest warrant. State Prosecutor Daniel de la Rosa Anaya states publicly that the case is fully clarified, that they have the arrest warrant, they have identified the direct aggressor, and they are pursuing extradition through Interpol. The world is watching. The evidence exists. The warrant exists. And then, the United States government does something Shanquella's family is still fighting over today. Nothing. Here is how extradition is supposed to work. Mexico submits its formal extradition request. That request goes to the U.S. State Department. The State Department acknowledges the documents, accepts them, and forwards them to the Office of International Affairs. From there, the extradition process moves through federal court. That is the protocol. That is the established process between two allied nations. According to reporting from multiple credible outlets and allegations in the Robinson family's own lawsuit, the State Department never forwarded Mexico's extradition request to the Office of International Affairs. Not delayed, not reviewed and rejected, not sent back for additional documentation, never forwarded. When journalists asked the State Department directly about the case, the response was that they do not comment on extradition matters. That was the full answer. Meanwhile, the FBI ran its own parallel investigation. In April 2023, the U.S. Attorney's Office met with Shanquella's family and released a statement. It read, in part, "The available evidence does not support a federal prosecution. No charges, no prosecution, no extradition." The family's attorney, Sue Ann Robinson, no relation, responded publicly. She said, "U.S. citizens cannot go to Mexico, commit a crime that we all saw in a video, and come back to America and say we're safe. We're not going to be charged. That cannot be the message that U.S. authorities want to send." She later added, "Black and brown people have always had to carve their own path to justice, and we've been doing that since the beginning. I want you to sit with that for a moment. Mexico investigated. Mexico issued the warrant. Mexico named the aggressor. Mexico prepared the extradition packet. Mexico did everything right. And the country where the aggressor went home to, the country where she is living right now, under a new name, that country looked at all of it and decided it was not enough.
By now, I'm sure that you've heard the story about Shanquella Robinson, who was unalived by her friends allegedly at the age of 25 in Cabo, Mexico. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I gotta talk to y'all about safety when you're traveling. Whenever you travel out of the country, the U.S. Department of State is there to protect you. They protect U.S. citizens outside of the United States. Also, you need to learn your embassy locations. If you are in a country and you don't feel safe, whether it's with your friends, you feel like someone is watching you, go to the U.S. Embassy.
Tell me honestly, do you think this case would have looked different if Shanquella Robinson had been someone else? A different background, a different family, different people in that room. I am not telling you what to think. I am asking. Drop your answer below. When the federal government closed its case in April 2023, Salamandra and Bernard Robinson made a decision. If the system will not pursue justice, then the system will have to answer for why it didn't. In October 2024, on the second anniversary of Shanquella's death, the family filed a wrongful death lawsuit, naming all 6 travel companions, Dejanay Jackson, Elise Hyatt, Malik Dyer, Wenter Donovan, Khalil Cook, and Nazir Tyree Wiggins. The suit alleges wrongful death, battery, negligence, conspiracy, and emotional distress. 4 of the Cabo 6, Elise Hyatt, Wenter Donovan, Malik Dyer, and Khalil Cook, responded by filing motions to dismiss, arguing the case should be tried in Mexico, not North Carolina, because that is where Shanquella died. The family's legal team answered that directly. Every person involved is an American citizen. The cover-up continued on American soil when the defendants returned to North Carolina. The conspiracy happened here. The case belongs here. Then came the second front. In April 2025, attorney Ben Crump filed a $100 million federal lawsuit, not against the Cabo 6 this time, but against the FBI and the United States Department of State, alleging negligence, lack of diligence, and failure to properly investigate Shanquella Robinson's death.
A federal judge heard arguments in a lawsuit Shanquella's mother filed against the FBI, the State Department, and the people who were on the trip.
WCNC Charles' Jesse Pierre was in the courtroom today, joining us now from Uptown Live. So, Jesse, what's the latest in this case?
Well, every side was heard in this case today, and every party named in this lawsuit is asking the judge to dismiss this case. And attorneys for some of Shanquella Robinson's travel companions are asking that if the case be heard, that it be heard in Mexico.
United States citizen should not be allowed to go overseas, harm another, or be involved in harm with another United States citizen and come back to the United States and essentially say that they're on base, that they're not going to be held liable, accountable, or responsible.
Shanquella Robinson died in Mexico in 2022. At first, friends told her family it was alcohol poisoning, but then a video surfaced showing Shanquella being violently beaten on the trip. Now her mother is suing the FBI, the U.S. Department of State, and the 6 people who were on the trip. Attorneys for the travel mates want the lawsuit thrown out, but argue if it is heard, Mexico is the proper place to handle the case because that's where the incident happened, where the key evidence is, and where 24 other witnesses are, like the medical professionals and the law enforcement who handled the case. But Sue Ann Robinson, who represents Shanquella's estate, strongly disagrees, saying the conspiracy and cover-up into Shanquella's death happened here in the U.S.
The convenient forum would be the forum in which all 6 of the individuals who were present in the room when the crime occurred, for them to be heard and give their testimony and have their day in court here.
She also raised concerns about a trial in Mexico with a language barrier and navigating the justice system there.
The Mexican civil litigation system is completely different. There's no jurors.
Attorneys for the travel mates declined to say much outside of the courtroom.
We have no comment at this time.
No comment.
Meanwhile, Shanquella Robinson's father, who was in the courtroom, says he is not giving up.
Only thing I can do is stand for Shanquella and talk. Be her mouth, be her voice, because she didn't deserve this at all.
So So what's next? Well, the judge heard all of the arguments in this case, but has not made a final decision yet. So we'll be watching out for that final ruling.
In June 2025, a federal judge dismissed the claims against the FBI and the State Department, citing sovereign immunity. The government walked away again, but something else happened that same month that the family's legal team did not expect. Dejchane Jackson, who had legally changed her name to Emani Green in November 2024, filed her response to the wrongful death lawsuit on June 18, 2025. Representing herself, she claimed the original summons had been served to the wrong person and that the statute of limitations had expired. By July 2025, Green had hired an attorney who filed new documents claiming she had acted in self-defense and accused Shanquella Robinson of belligerent behavior, claiming Robinson provoked the confrontation and had been drinking excessively. In June 2025, a Mecklenburg County judge denied Green's motion to dismiss the wrongful death lawsuit. The case moves forward. Every door the family knocks on, someone tries to close it, but they keep knocking. On February 28, 2025, the FBI released the second part of its investigative findings on Shanquella Robinson's death. The report was heavily redacted. Names, locations, witness statements, blacked out. But some things got through. The documents confirm that someone contacted the FBI and reported seeing photographs of Shanquella Robinson's body. That person told investigators, "There are bruises on her, and she looks like she was stomped on." The same documents reveal the story the group gave to Mexican authorities, that Shanquella had been drinking and hit her head on the toilet. That is now in a federal record. That is what they said, officially, to law enforcement. The FBI documents also note that investigators suspected there may have been hidden cameras inside the villa, cameras that could have captured footage of what happened before and after the assault. Whether that footage was ever located has never been confirmed publicly. The FBI was also given Shanquella Robinson's black iPhone. They extracted its full contents. What those contents revealed remains redacted. On the third anniversary of Shanquella's death in October 2025, the family's attorneys publicly demanded the FBI release the remaining unredacted files, stating that 3 years of silence is unacceptable for a grieving family, still fighting for answers. 100 pages released, most of it hidden. A phone extracted, contents sealed, cameras possibly in the villa, footage unaccounted for. Bernard Robinson, Shanquella's father, said it plainly after the documents dropped. What was on them pages? No one in this world who's got kids and daughters would want this done to their child and have to deal with this, not knowing what happened, not knowing why.
It was they attacked her, man. It wasn't no physical. They attacked her, man. I mean, it seemed like from my daughter was asleep, man. You know, for all of them to be in that room, and then they come in there like, I don't know, she woke up or whatever, the way it seemed like they attacked her, man. And she naked, man. For a father to see that video, man, because my daughter's not a fighter, man. She's not a fighter, not at all. For them to do what they did, man, it just seemed like it was a plot, because they couldn't have did that over here, man. They couldn't have did that over here, where her friends, all her friends are. It wouldn't have went down like that, man. They don't realize, what they done done, man. They just robbed, they just put a hole in my heart, man. That was my only child. I'm just heartbroken, man. I can't even be a granddaddy. Can't even walk down the aisle, man. Can't even hear a voice. Can't even say daddy.
If you believe the public has a right to full transparency on a case this documented, this clear, this watched, say so in the comments. And if you think there is a reason this information is still sealed, I want to hear that too. It is now the summer of 2026, nearly 4 years since Shanquella Robinson died in a luxury villa in Mexico with a broken neck. Mexico's arrest warrant still stands. No extradition has ever happened. No criminal charges have ever been filed on American soil. Not one person has spent a single night in custody. The federal lawsuit against the FBI and the State Department was dismissed in June 2025. Sovereign immunity, jurisdictional limits. The government protected itself. The wrongful death lawsuit against the Cabo Six was remanded to Mecklenburg County Superior Court in January 2026. No trial date has been set. A hearing on Khalil Cook's motion to freeze all proceedings is scheduled for July 22, 2026, at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse in Charlotte. The case is still being fought over before it has even reached a courtroom. And Imani Green, the woman on that video, the woman Mexico charged with femicide, has filed court documents claiming she acted in self-defense. Her attorneys accuse Shanquella Robinson of belligerent behavior, of provoking the confrontation, of drinking too much. The same story, a different filing. This case is not just about one woman and one group of friends. It brought the word femicide into the American national conversation, because the United States has no legal framework that matches it. There is no U.S. statute that recognizes gender-based murder the way Mexico does. That gap is part of why the extradition request had nowhere to land. The whole world saw the video, and there has still been no arrest since October 29, 2022. Salamandra Robinson said it directly. What kind of system is this? That is the question this case leaves us with. Not what happened. We have a video. Not who did it. Mexico named her. But why, with all of that, is nobody in prison? Shanquella Robinson was 25 years old. She was an entrepreneur. She was a daughter. She was someone who said yes to a trip with people she trusted, because she had no reason not to. Her mother is still fighting. Her father is still speaking. 2 lawsuits. Nearly 4 years. 0 arrests. I'll leave you with this. At what point does a government's inaction become complicity? Tell me where you draw that line. And if you believe Shanquella's story deserves more attention, share this video. One share puts her name in front of someone who has never heard it. If you're new here, subscribe. We cover the cases where the truth is harder to find than the crime. I'll see you in the next one.